You're listening to Fintechs, a podcast that explores the innovations and challenges in Canada's fintech landscape. My name is Sue Britton. I'm the CEO of Firefly Growth and an entrepreneur with over 30 years of experience in the financial industry. I also serve on the FinPay committee, and I'm an advisor for Holt Exchange. Join us as we sit down with industry leaders, trailblazers, and pioneers to discuss their journey, the evolution of fintech, and what's next for Canada's ever-dynamic fintech ecosystem. All right. Well, welcome to another edition of Fintechs A. I'm really happy to introduce to everyone. This is Richard Cromie. He is the CEO of Paidiem. And for me, I'm excited to actually learn about Paidiem, about Rich. But why don't we start there? Why don't you give us a bit of an introduction of, who you are and how you came to be the creating this amazing company.
Yeah, that answer could take a long time. We might not have enough time, so I'll try to keep it concise. But I am a hopelessly curious person. I love looking at complicated puzzles or situations and trying to figure out, can we make it more efficient? Why is this not working? What's happening here? What's happening there? And so that usually is what leads me down the path of going after some business ideas. I've been in business school ever since university, and after that, went and dabbled in entrepreneurialism. And then I went on and got married to my beautiful wife, and I've had 3 children since then. And the decision making after children definitely changes from when you're earlier in your career. And for my my future and the vision and drive for Paidiem is influenced by trying to make a change and trying to do things that I believe are right. And so there's the curiosity and the passion and the business background, coupled with trying to make a change and trying to be impactful, is really what drives me today.
No, that's very cool. Where did you go to school, if you don't mind me asking?
I went to Laurier, and then after that, I went to Schulich for my...
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Oh, awesome. So are you based in Ontario?
Yep, we're in the GTA. Yeah.
Toronto. Yeah, in the GTA. I just moved. I just left the the big, beautiful province of Ontario to live in BC, British Columbia. So on as far as I could get in British Columbia, west, I'm on the island.
You're on the island. Yeah, I was going to say, you must be on the island.
Yeah. And I mean, no disrespect to Ontario, but BC is much more beautiful, I gotta say. But we can debate about that.
Yeah, there are not too many people I've met that would say it the other way around, right? So
yeah,
certainly
exactly.
In BC, it's I've been there a couple of times. It is quite beautiful to see there.
Yeah. So tell us about Paidiem. Like, what was what's Paidiem all about?
So Paidiem is a cloud-based workforce management, engagement, and payment platform where we partner with employers or enterprise to be able to drive modern tools and features for their back office, from time and attendance to reporting to invoicing, bill pay. And we provide them with a slick front office or front application for their workforce to be able to get transparency and features and options that will bring them better conveniences or wellness, which one of them includes income on demand. And so that's what Paidiem is.
Oh, wow. And what segment of the market is like your sweet spot in terms of those employers and enterprises?
So it's funny because it's really any employer. I mean, one of the things that employers struggle with, and I guess have been for many, many years, is attracting the best talent. And attracting is one part, and then retaining them is the second part. And as we've seen the world evolve and people move remote and jobs go from, 10 plus years of tenure to 1 or 2 years, that attraction and retention issue becomes compounded. Not just because of churn, but then it's, keeping your IP in-house and the knowledge, the transfer of knowledge. So opportunity costs are great and they're difficult to measure, but if you can go in, you can impact on the attraction and retention piece, then you can significantly, improve the ROI on not just your workforce, but the services that you're paying for, and reduce the spend at the same time for services or other features that you're paying for, or specifically around churn. With respect to markets, there's some markets or some industries that get affected much more than others. And I would say the consulting or staffing or employment industry is one of those where we perform really well and we have a key differentiator there. Those businesses or those industries are who supply the most labor across the world in terms of employment. And their only means of revenue is attracting talent and keeping them employed with their clients, who are the big enterprise of the world, whether it's the TD banks or the CPGs or airline industry or what have you. Yeah. And so we're able to differentiate and bring a lot of value to that industry because we can help them in a unique sort of niche way for both hourly or salaried workforce, or the solopreneur or the incorporated consultant, or 1099 as they call them in the US. And we do that really well.
Very interesting. And I mean, obviously there's lots of small businesses in Canada. And, less medium size, less large. But so are you trying to serve, the entire market regardless of size of business?
Certainly we have customers of all different sizes, but the largest group would be that SMB group, and we provide them with the ability to get access to services and features on our platform that they might not otherwise get unless they're a big enterprise.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I'm a target customer.
Okay.
So this is going to be interesting because I'm over the years this is my third business, and they've all been in the, quasi consulting space. So, and are you going to market to try and attract these, businesses to become your customers? Are you going to market directly, or do you have partners, that where, because it's a lot of businesses to try and, get the attention of. So how have you thought about selling into those spaces?
Yeah, we originally set out and went direct to market. And when we started, we got a lot of attention early on from a few key businesses, some of them very large, which we've been able to onboard as customers thus far. And via that, opened up additional partner channels, which have also been really, really, really cool to see evolve. And we've got a partner channel landing page, paidiem.com/partnerships or partners. And what we do via those channels is either assist in the distribution of our features and products across those partner channels, where they can bring their customers over to us, or vice versa. Or we partner with them to bring conveniences and service offerings to the workforce and consultants that are on our platform, like benefits and insurances, for example.
Cool.
If you're a consultant that needs E&O, D&O, or GL to be compliant on your work assignment, sometimes you think, I don't even know where to start. I don't know where to go. Well, with the click of a button, we can get you a partner in our network that can set you up right away. Or partnering with owner, which is a RBCX company where you can be incorporated and set up a bank account within 24 hours. So
Yeah.
we've been able to demonstrate that partnerships that work with us can work both ways via referrals or service offerings.
Oh, that's brilliant. That is, I mean, because then you're really, kind of, you're getting the small business customer where they choose to be, to be sort of looking for you, whether that's directly or indirectly. And can you give us an example of some of those partners?
Yeah,
Today?
I mentioned owner is one of them, where we've been able to help consultants on our platform, seamlessly, frictionlessly incorporate and get set up with banking, overnight, so they can take on a new, consulting agreement. Or we've got partners in the benefits and insurance space where we've seen, Manulife policies come through, or Apollo, which is another Canadian company, which will do corporate sort of business insurances, all the way through to other professional services that are just really bringing conveniences to the everyday worker that they need anyways. And we go through the employer, and the employer gets to distribute that as an employer-employee benefit as it drives the loyalty and retention.
Right. So cool. You've got a really interesting opportunity, selfishly speaking.
We like it. We think it over here. I'm gonna get up. We're gonna bring you on board, and then you can continue to work with us.
Well, I do need to actually get insurance. That's one of the things that I have been dragging my feet at doing. So I'll follow up with you on that.
Okay.
For sure. So, okay. So one of the things that you do that, in the notes that we were both given to kind of prepare for this is provide earned wage access. And that's been a hot topic lately, especially, well, in all different kinds of ways. But let's say, generally speaking, like the idea that we could innovate and not just pay people every 2 weeks and think of it a bit differently is a sign of the times. But tell us a little bit about, tell everybody a little bit about this earned wage access and how this sort of space is evolving and what your offering is.
Yeah, the space has evolved significantly over the past, I'd say, 5 years. COVID, I think, accelerated a lot of the adoption or appetite for that feature. And on our platform, it's one of the features that we have, and we call it income on demand, or depending on the particular offering, pay per diem, which is a play on words for Paidiem. And because it's still relatively new, although it's been picking up a lot, even significantly more in the past 6 months, some people are still unaware that it is a benefit that could be available to them via our platform. And what we believe at Paidiem is that, we can bring modern tools and services and features to employers to automate their back office or help them with payroll friction or payment friction, things like that. But we actually believe that they care about their workforce. And sometimes, even if they wanted to pay their workforce more frequently or on a faster cadence, they can't do it. They won't have the systems, or sometimes they won't even have capital to do it. So, what do you do? And with household debt on record highs every year, it seems like, the friction is only compounding. And so what Paidiem does is partner with those employers to say, we will be able to afford you and your workforce all of these modern features to both help clean up and modernize your back office, but help with the wellness and alleviate financial anxiety for your workforce, which again drives loyalty, retention, all the things that the businesses need to be running successfully.
Yeah, you're so right. I mean, at the end of the day, like, especially in the small business space, I would almost guarantee you that, business owners have very little knowledge, but also no desire to try and, become experts at making payroll happen, but very much want to make sure that their employees are looked after and have what they need. And so that's great. And what are some of the use cases that businesses can be thinking about where they can utilize income on demand to provide a better, to provide their employees the best experience or access to, their wages when they need them?
The statistics are out there and they've been available for quite some time, that if a business or an employer is leveraging income on demand or pay per diem, the ability to attract workers to those either open requisitions or job postings or to stay longer is over 80 to 85%, which means that if you are not doing it, then the workers will leave your place of work and go to somewhere that has that feature. So it's over 80%. And then the retention is over 90%. So businesses, just by providing the service, are going to be able to attract and retain better workers to their company. And that full stop is, something that you should be paying attention to if you're not doing it already, especially if you've got a number of open requisitions or postings and you can't seem to fill them, right? It's one of the quickest, easiest things to do. And businesses can leverage that not by having to do any heavy lifting. They can reach out to us and we can integrate with their existing ecosystem, or we can replace other pieces and afford it to them almost, immediately over the course of a 2-week implementation.
I hadn't thought of this before, but, because I think a lot of people understand the Uber driver example where, someone's driving for Uber and, they get paid after every ride, let's say. So that really is a clear, sort of example of where you could provide, early access to your earnings. But in the context of, let's say, a consultant who's, maybe doing project work, how does that work? Like, what are employers doing in that case?
There's a couple different things that add friction to that entire sort of payment cadence, if you will. So if you're consulting, and I'll take it out of, context of industry, but if you're consulting for somebody, you usually are performing the work that's asked of you per your agreement, and then you're asked to invoice for your time.
Yep.
And a lot of times, especially for super technical people like engineers or developers, they that's not top of mind for them. And so they get behind in actually getting their invoices in only until they need the money. But once they get invoice in, it's going to go into that AP cycle, which sometimes you want it to be 30 days, but sometimes it's 45 days. So you've got this problem where these businesses are trying to attract folks to come and perform good work for them. If you can help them out by automating the paperwork and automating the invoices, you can remove the friction between not getting it in on time. And if you can afford them the opportunity to take the income on their terms, where they don't have to wait for an AP cycle, now they're going to be very, very happy. And they tell us that all the time. There's so many different nuances or pieces in there that Paidiem solves for, which people aren't really even aware of. And some folks might say, well, if you earn a certain amount of money per hour, then what, you don't need your money faster? Or like, why would you even care? Or if you didn't get your invoice in, I guess you don't need it. But everybody's busy and everybody has things going on, and really it's your money. And that's one of the things that sticks out to everybody at the Paidiem, at Paidiem and on the team, is that whether or not you get paid in 1 week, 2 weeks, or 45 days, it's your money. You've already worked Why should you have to wait? And if you want to take your earnings or your income because you have bills to pay or you have a mortgage payment due or what have you, that's up to you. Or some folks that take their money early, I'll say that again. Some of the consultants or contractors on our platform that leverage the income on demand because they want to move to a weekly mortgage and they're going to save $150,000 on their mortgage interest payments. So it's a no-brainer. Once you're educated and you understand that if you've worked, your money's there. It's just when are you getting paid? Why wouldn't you want it as quickly as you can get it? Not to just reduce risk, but use it to your advantage, which is pay off debts faster, save money on interest, or invest it, right? Or, there's so many reasons why. It's yours. You've already worked.
Yeah. Huh. That's really, I think that's a super big opportunity, because even with the, changing the way that, people get paid, I feel like it's just getting started based on this discussion. Because and I guess part of the equation is, you've got the employer and the employee, let's say, or whether the employee is a consultant or a developer or what have you. But the employer, I guess, has to take maybe a little bit of risk in terms of how much. I'll give an example for myself. If I'm a business and I have 3 employees, and I'm doing work for a bank, I won't name any banks, but let's say it takes them 60 days to pay me.
Yeah.
And I shouldn't only pay my employees when I get paid, but there's the reality of that, sort of money in, money out, and the risk to a small business who might have arrangements with employees where they say, I'm not paying you actually every 2 weeks like a regular employee. I'm paying you on a per project basis. So, but, I'm paying you before I get paid.
Yeah.
And so there's that. How do you feel? Are employers kind of grappling with that, do you think?
It's still something that I think they are grappling with, but I'm very confident that in the next, 6 to 12 months, it will be much more apparent that it's an issue that they're going to have to tackle, and it gets right back to that retention question or issue, because as a small business, if you lose one of your top consultants per se, you'd be in a tough bind, right? It might take you a long time to find somebody.
Yeah, and absolutely.
I've talked to so many consultants, and it's such a small world where people usually travel in circles, and a lot of them that I've spoken to that get afforded simple, automation of paperwork or faster access to their own income, they will stay with that employer and they won't leave. In fact, they'll actually be contemplating not going to an employer that doesn't give them access to that.
Yeah.
So we work with employers to make sure that we understand their friction and their payment cadences. And if your ARAP cycle or your AR is different than what your AP, which is pretty much for everybody, then we can put together a plan that affords you the best options for your workforce, and you don't have to come up with, or be out of pocket. It's really a service offer. If your payment cadence is in 30 days, but you want your workforce to be paid every week or on demand, then we work out with you a situation or a strategy to accommodate for that.
Cool. How did you, I know that I'm going backwards actually to something you mentioned at the beginning around partnering with RBC, because now my mind is going, okay, what are all the things that you can offer that, business customer to help them run their business? Because this is, I'm making us talk about this, early access to wages, but or earned wage access. But obviously you talked at the beginning about like going right back to incorporating your business and your partnership with RBC. How did you land that? Because like RBC is, even though it's owner, it's still RBC. And I've done some business with RBC professionally. It's a tough process to contract with them. What was it like getting, like that partnership?
Yeah, I think the RBC, owner, which is an RBCX portfolio company, has been fantastic to deal with. I think they've been very warm and accepting, and some of the folks on their team there, I've been speaking to over the course of the past several years, and that partnership actually wasn't a difficult one to put together. I think both of us saw the immediate impact and value that we both would be bringing to the table, and we're servicing the same sort of workforce or consultancy group. And when you look at the fastest growing workforce in North America, it is that 1099 individual hourly consultant type worker, and that's only going to continue to grow with the advancements in technology and the speed by which people can either incorporate or become their own boss, whether it's through autonomy or through consulting or remote work. That's going to increase. And if we can provide them the benefits of getting paid when they want and automate all their paperwork, and that be afforded by their employer, then there's a huge incentive for them to do that. And so we've been very successful in receiving referrals both from owner and also referring over to them people who want to incorporate and set up a business account right away.
Wow, that's great. That's great. That's a huge coup for you guys to have that kind of offering, the owner offering. I've used it several times. A few glitches here and there, but I think that's there wasn't anything like them before they launched. But generally speaking, a wonderful service. And where is Paidiem at in terms of like, how old are you guys? How many years have you been at this?
So ideation has been going on for quite some time, since when I both was starting, as an entrepreneur and feeling the frictions of just the payroll system and cycle and paperwork and everything, all the way through to when I myself did a bit of consulting and invoice for my time on time, and then wait for payment to come through. And I became my own collections officer, which is just the
worst. It's the worst.
You have so much, and then there's so many professionals that just the anxiety around calling to ask for their own money is too
from
great.
A customer.
That's a customer that should be respecting you, appreciative, is so great that they don't call, that they just suck it up. And I'm thinking, I want to bring a service to them where they can just click of a button, take their income when they want, and remove the anxiety, and then that will simultaneously build a loyalty and appreciation for that business that brought it to them. It's so simple. And getting back to your grappling question, I don't know why people haven't. I get this question all the time. Why hasn't anybody else done this before? I don't have an answer. I think it's complex. I think people are, looking at other or focusing on other things. But to me, it's pretty apparent.
Yeah. And well, and the freelancer, gig worker, services category, it's true. It's interesting how, when you talk to people about small businesses and the solutions that, I heard a lot about this maybe last year and the year before about like the verticalization of financial products, like figuring out, and RBC, another one, so is Scotia, but that has done this where they're looking at healthcare professionals, doctors, owners of businesses, but they're running their business and they're not necessarily, they don't have any financial
Yeah.
desire to, become financial experts, or they want to be able to serve their patients. And so there's those verticals seem to be really, kind of covered from the point of view of, but I haven't, there's not a lot that are really looking at financial or at professional services in that broad category. That's interesting. So what's
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Nope. You go.
I'd like to continue that thought about the medical industry. One of the really cool success stories that we've had recently is a customer of ours is in that space, and she has a government contract to be able to provide the region that she's in for on-call nurses, right? And so there's a big demand for that, but because unfortunately a lot of those nurses live paycheck to paycheck, as we know, there's a study done last summer that 50% of Canadians are living paycheck to paycheck. A lot of them can't even get to work because they can't afford to get to the call that they've been asked to go to. And so this employer signed up with us, and she is so happy that she's been able to now afford all of the workforce on all the nurses are going to be using Paidiem. They can get paid whenever they want. It doesn't disrupt her current ecosystem. And she can now put more nurses out to work. She doesn't have any open requisitions, which then it also improves. More people are going to get medical care. So, I wanted to just bring that up because when we talk to the medical industry, it really is a simple thing that we can do to help improve everybody's lives, from people getting to work because they don't have the cash to get there because they have to wait for pay in a couple weeks, to the person who's waiting for the on-call nurse, but they can't get there because there's all this friction in the payment cycle. So we're really seeing some great feedback and testimonials from both the workers on the platform and our customers.
Wow. That's great. I mean, we could talk about this current healthcare situation, which has been a big eye opener. Moving to the province of BC for me. And I think partly because I was in Ontario long enough that I had the historical relationship with a family doctor that I didn't notice as much the gap.
Okay.
And so now that I'm here and I'm a new resident, I don't have any hope of having a family doctor for 3+ years. Even then, probably. Yeah. And it's very it's such a I think it's one of those things you have to really probably almost go through to understand the gravity of it, like not being able to get your prescription renewed, not being able to deal with a medical issue. You can't even go to a walk-in clinic here. You can go to a walk-in clinic, you're standing in line for 8 hours.
Wow.
And then maybe having to go back the next day. Yeah, it's crazy.
Well, you're right. It's perspective. It's all perspective.
It is. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. What about I would say that the one relationship that I have as a small business that is, and it's not even so much a relationship as it is, like my accounting software is critical to me. And the critical part of it is around making sure that I can pay my taxes, that I, can even calculate those, that it's connected to my bank account, so I can give my accountant, access to it so they can do a bunch of work. How has that kind of figured into your product strategy? Just the role of that, accounting software. I would imagine that could be a pretty interesting partner opportunity as well, maybe.
Yeah, that's a good question. And one of our partners on our partner network is Xero, right? And so with Xero, and you can see them at paidiem.com/partners, you can leverage Paidiem for the automation of all your invoicing, your contracts, all of your data, and it can sync into your accounting software. And so it's just bringing that convenience so that you can focus on what you do best, which is the consulting, the work, and then you have this home base or this safe place where everything's kind of automating and running in the background for you, all the way through to, you know, if you're a small business owner and you've got your consultants that you have to pay too, we can run that entire back office for you. So you can really just focus on the work, and we can handle all of the other pieces for you, from reporting, payments, invoicing, bookkeeping. It's either through Paidiem
Really?
Direct, partner network. It's all there.
Okay, how many Paidiemers are there?
Paidiem,
How many employees? I don't know. What's your acronym? What do you call them other than, by their name?
Yeah, Paidiem. That's been a term that's been thrown around. We've been anywhere between 15 and 20, depending on your consultants and your hired guns that you bring in.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you feel like you're on like this kind of verge of big growth? Like
I do.
Yeah,
I do.
that's what I feel. I don't know much about you guys, but I feel like that's, you have some interesting opportunities. If I was a financial institution, I would be thinking about how could I partner with you?
I mean, the team has been so great, and they've worked so hard, and we've built it to the place that it is today. And there's no shortage of different opportunities or features that we can bring, but our governing push is to bring convenience and really to just what we feel do the right thing, right? And so if I was in your shoes, or if I was in somebody else's shoes, and I have been in those shoes, I want somebody to take care of all these things for me that I don't really like and I don't really want to do, but I know that it's important. I know that when I was running my own small business, when somebody that worked for me needed money quickly, I was thinking to myself, there's got to be a better way other than me having to stop what I'm doing to then go and take care of this and transfer that amount or cut that check, or it's the middle of a cycle or what have you. I thought there's got to be a better way. So we've got to be really focused on what our mission is and what our goals are.
Yeah.
And because we've signed some pretty big customers and there's a lot of growth opportunity even within our current customer base, there's no shortage of other large enterprise that could benefit from what we've already built in different industries, from pensions to financial institutions to the medical industry. There's so much to benefit from what we've built, and it's malleable and flexible for most industries that are out there.
Wow. So what do you lose sleep over?
The opportunity is you want to get it. You want to get it all. Do everything. Yeah. You want everything to be, instantly ready. And you get that question. I like it, because normally my first response is my kids, right? Like maybe I lose sleep because of my kids more so than anything else. But really, I get, startup life is hard, and one of the more recent videos that I watched on startup life was the ChatGPT founder talked about how, resilience is one of the most important features, because it's really hard for a founder. And if you're not resilient and able to stick it through and focus on what is important, then it's really easy to get derailed. And so because we've been so resilient and we've done everything to get us to where we are today, that impatience that I have, or urgency around, okay, I want to see what the future is. I want it to be now. That kind of keeps me up sometimes. Right. I think it's the excitement and the urgency and the impatience, the founder impatience, that gets me going.
Well, I think, I don't know if there's ever a good kind of stress, but that's probably, if you could call that a good kind of stress, it's probably, it's better than, how am I going to keep the lights on? And then that's a reality too. I'm sure you've had ups and downs. I've had ups and downs. But I think that's an excellent point. Resilience is pretty key.
Yeah.
Pretty key.
And there's always going to be stress, right? You can't really operate in a world and turn a blind eye or be naive that there's never going to be stress. You got to be able to have some compassion and some empathy that, things are going to happen, and really how are you going to deal with it? Everybody faces adversity. You got to make sure that you're paying attention, you're aware. And there's a lot of things that are going to happen that are even completely out of your control, that you got to be able to handle. Like there's regulatory, there's, market conditions, economic, there's all these things. You got to be able to face all of them, and inside of a startup while you're bringing a new product to market. It's really tough. But when I think about, why do I keep doing this? It's because I want to look back on my life and, 10 years when I'm a grandpa, or maybe it's longer than 10 years, actually. My children are older than 10, so it's going to be a lot longer than 10 years.
Yeah.
When I look back and I like, did I try? Did I put in the effort? Did I try hard? Did it mean something? Was it going to make an impact? Right. That's sort of, what gets you going, because it's hard. But if you're resilient, then the strongest are going to survive. The strongest are going to win.
Yeah. I feel like we could end it there, but I kind of want to ask you about some of the exciting things that we learned about at the end of last year that are, I'm going to be the glasses half full person and assume that are going to happen, one of which is open banking. And and the argument for waiting until somebody says go is excuse me, I think a bit futile, because the Canadians, businesses and consumers have been sharing their banking credentials for years in order to get access to and share data with, like, Fintechs and other companies, software platforms like the Zeros of the world, so that they can get stuff done and get access to services. So open banking or not, we're doing what open banking, at least an aspect of what open banking is going to deliver, which is allow us to share our data. What's your view on open banking and, the impact that it could have on your business and your customers?
Yeah, I think open banking for me is kind of, likened to the earlier days of the Ubers or Airbnbs of the world. It's like in the early days, you thought you're going to drive in a car with a stranger. What if they're drunk? Or you're going to go sleep in a stranger's house? Like, what about? And so the concept of like open banking and providing, collaborative, interconnected financial services is supposed to be, governed or managed by, fear or the lowest common denominator or what have you, is like the same sort of fear or anxieties people had around some of the biggest businesses that we've seen today. So I think it's actually going to be an inevitability, and I do push forward and try to be one of the pioneers in that, by building what we've been building. But just, enhancing financial transparency and providing conveniences and being efficient, giving people control, is what we should be focused on. And resistance of that is only going to just, not only slow us down, but it's just going to hurt us more in the future.
Yeah.
Other governing bodies or other places are going to be a lot more progressive, and they're going to it's good. They're going to push it through.
Yeah. I mean, as a business owner, not being allowed to do something is one of the things that I feel almost creates the most stress and strain and almost emotion. Like
Yeah.
when my bank feed breaks with my accounting software and my accountant is, pinging me saying, can you give me the code or whatever it was that they need, like that kind of, can you refresh the bank feeds and whatever? And I'm like, I'm in the middle of a big client presentation. I don't have time to do this stuff. It's so, like those things. And I think back to your, kind of one of your key value propositions is convenience, right? For business owners, like it's going to be so important that these things not continue to be friction points, right?
That's right. It's gotta be, people want frictionless, seamless convenience, right? If you travel to Europe, you want to know that you can be paying in a local currency, that you don't have to go and open a bank account and then go through the whole pain of that. Even if the bank account you want to open is a subsidiary of your Canadian bank, it's still such a painful process. It's unnecessary. It's we're beyond that. Technology is there. And so, whether you work abroad or while you're on vacation or in a different province or country, you should be able to be paid in the currency that you want, connect with the features and tools that you want. All of the businesses that are going to be setting up and leveraging this are going to comply by regulatory and compliances. That's the goal here. But once you do that, people will be happier. There'll be less friction. They'll be happier. It'll be more convenient, and you'll probably see like increased productivity and wellness overall. So Paidiem's pushing the envelope on trying to make sure that we can leverage data and leverage systems to automate a lot of pieces. And because we're inside the data and we can automate, we can help people get access to their money on demand. And we want to be able to do that, of course, on an open banking infrastructure where people can get paid with the conveniences of timing, but also currencies or means by which they want to be paid. Bank accounts or cards or what have you, right?
Yeah. Do you have any thoughts on, how to make actually getting a bank account more convenient in Canada?
Well, what do you mean by that? How getting a bank account more convenient?
Well, getting a bank account, getting access to a financial product, like businesses are, forget the fact that there's not enough digital, end-to-end experiences in the Canadian market, but it's tough. The hurdles you have to go through to actually even just open an account or apply for a credit card. There's lots of new fintech companies out there, but the reality is, unfortunately, and I think this is, an insight from moving to a new province, like we know about fintechs more in the, places like downtown Toronto, but once you get into like, I don't know, Langford on Vancouver Island, like I would say 99.9% of the people don't even really know what fintech means. So
there's no giant Las Vegas flashing sign saying Fintechs here, on a tree. No, I think I think there will be a tipping point, right? The pains that people are experiencing, like yourself as a consultant, who, I know folks that they haven't been T4'd in a decade, and so when they go for a credit product to the bank, they can't get one because they don't have a history of a pay stub. But they're citizens and actually people in this country that are creating jobs and employing people, but they get turned away for a credit. It's unreal. And so there will be a tipping point, and I think one of the paths to accelerating that is going to some of the newer fintech startups that are going to remove the friction for you. And you're going to see the legacy banks or the legacy institutions, they're going to take notice. They're going to have less onboarding. They're going to have less new customer signups, and you're going to see the fintechs and the newer businesses grow, and we got to make sure that we're working with Fintechs Canada and other groups to ensure that policy keeps up and that they don't get stifled. But that tipping point is going to come where people are going to say enough is enough. Like I need convenience, and I'm going to seek it out. And once I get it, I'm not going back to the old way. And we've seen that with Paidiem, where consultants on our platform, we do everything for them and give them their money on demand. They ask us, can I bring Paidiem with me to my next employer? And we say, absolutely. You can go and you can refer your employer to us. We have a page, paidiem.com/referrals, and you can refer your employer so that we can continue to go with you. And we will afford you all the benefits from the platform. If you want the income on demand feature, we have to be embedded with your employer to make sure that we have all the data points and the systems in place that we need to be able to afford you that.
Wow. Very cool. Okay, so Rich, let's try and wrap things up by, kind of re-explaining what Paidiem is all about. And, what I've heard is, yes, you have some amazing, features around things like providing early access to earned wages. But what's the big picture story about Paidiem and what you are as an offering?
I think employers care about their companies. They care about their workforce, and Canada has a robust financial system, and there's certain aspects that we believe can be enhanced or refined or improved. And one of the things we're working on with Paidiem Ontario, and we're thankful to be working with them, is considering our advancing financial inclusivity in Ontario across Canada, where a lot of employers are hiring individuals who don't come from well-means or different backgrounds, and sometimes struggle to get access to tools or features or services that they really need. And so working with the Canadian government and the financial institutions and the financial system to be able to bring features and tools like this that provide not just automation and modern payment or payroll services, but access to features for individuals who really need it the most, like nurses or other folks in the financial industry or the general services industries. We want to see that come across Canada and be really improved. And looking at everybody from diverse backgrounds is really important, and that's one of the things that we see in the big picture.
So, a software as a service platform for businesses to use to really kind of get access to many, many different capabilities to run their business and to pay their people and to automate processes, like really a kind of a small business, I don't know if I can say marketplace, but platform, and I think that's very, very cool. And we were talking earlier about our own sort of testimonials or our own feelings about being business owners. But can you give us a couple of like customer testimonials that kind of come to mind, or customer stories that have stood out for you as you've been kind of building Paidiem?
Yeah, the customer story I mentioned earlier about the nurses and helping them get to work. That's a big one, because you're impacting multiple people like at the same time, all the way down to the individual at the house call. But we've seen some of our customers, more than double or triple their annual revenues, because they've been either able to retain and attract more workforce, or they've been able to go out to market and particularly in the staffing industry, land additional agreements with their own customers, because they've got tools and services that can help them attract, retain better folks, and they can engage them. And the engagement and conveniences is what's on our platform and why they stay. So, the nurses getting to work and the employers that are providing that benefit to them is a huge benefit and a testimonial. But then on the workforce side, we've had people phone us and, say, praise God for you. Like you actually helped me make my rent on time. They were about to be evicted and they were sobbing, saying that they made their rent on time and they got to stay in their home.
Wow.
Down to, a heart-wrenching story where I had somebody call me who had just watched an old man at the banking wickets or the banking teller was a pensioner begging for $100. And because his pension wasn't due until the end of the month, he needed $100 and they turned him away. And that is really sad, and it's hard to listen to because the funds are there and the people need it, and we got to be able to provide people with access to their money, whether it's a fixed income, pension, salary, what have you. So we've got testimonials up and down from customers or workers that we're really proud of and what keeps inspiring us, and we're happy to share. Reach out, we'll tell you all about it, and you'll experience it for yourself.
Well, a little known fact, I didn't know this until I met you, that you say you're not really that, used to being in the spotlight. I hope you can get out there a bit more and speak about Paidiem, because I do think it's, you're solving some really important problems, like those examples you just gave about some of the results people have shared with you. So, but anyway, thanks very much. I appreciate that. And I'm sure people can find you on LinkedIn and can find you. You've mentioned your website a few times. But yeah, thanks very much for coming on the podcast.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Sue. This is great. I look forward to connecting soon.
Awesome. Thanks for joining us. Looking for more insights? Visit us at fintechscanada.ca or follow us on LinkedIn. We'll see you next time for more on Canada's latest fintech innovations.